Hi, I'm James Galang with Galang AI, where we build AI solutions for real-world business problems. In our intro video, I talked about the very first AI agent I ever built, the one that reduced my workload on a federal program by about 80%. Now, because of confidentiality, I can't spill all the details, but what I can do is walk you through the functionality, the impact, and why this little side project turned into something much bigger. So a bit about me, I spent years helping grow a company from about 1 million to 40 million, while wearing pretty much every hat possible. I've led operations, been in business development, proposals, delivery, customer success, you name it, and I've done it. And when you've been thrown into that many roles, you quickly learn how to adapt and engineer your way out of most problems, because every situation was new. When I built this agent, I was actually experiencing being part of a project team for the first time, because most of my other roles were back office. Now, this specific contract wasn't doing well, so I actually joined because of my experience with customer success and building client relationships. I like to learn by experience and understand from the ground up, so that's where I started. I quickly realized that the work was very manual and inefficient, which you'll find a lot of in government. So honestly, I didn't build my first AI agent out of some grand vision. I built it because I hated being inefficient, I hated feeling like I was wasting time, and I would rather spend more time with my family. So what happened? My output skyrocketed. I got promoted within the program to lead a division, and eventually I had to show it to leadership, including the federal agency's Chief Information Security Officer. His exact words were, "I wish I had this." That moment flipped a switch for me. What started as a tool to save me time became a competitive edge for my employer, formal recognition for innovation by the federal agency, and ultimately saving the contract. So in this video, I'm going to pull back the curtain and show you the backbone of Compliance Agent, the project that kickstarted everything. And here's the bigger point. AI doesn't have to be some giant, robust solution. You can use it to solve everyday problems in your own work and life. And those small wins will eventually compound into something significant, as long as you're willing to learn. So let's dive in. So as mentioned, due to confidentiality and sensitivity of this program and agency, I can't share the exact build we used. So I'm going to share a variation of the demo that I did because it was good enough to get them to buy into it. I did have to change, modify, redact, and remove some things to this demo, but you should still see the functionality and the backbone of that I used. Even some of these workflows that you see here didn't make it to the final build. I just used it for the demo. For example, this crawl for AI MCP. I just used this to scrape web pages and websites with the information that I needed for the agency. I like using Model Context Protocol, MCP, for everything. I know I didn't use it for Supabase, and I can, but I didn't get around to it. Essentially, it allows the AI agent to choose which tool to use, and you don't have to create a separate node for each one. So down here, we have the ETL workflow where it extracted data from uploaded files in Google Drive. That's what I use for the demo. That's where I put all the governing docs and other things. Then it would separate them by type. It would chunk them. Oh, the node that's missing here is that it would chunk them and then have an LLM provide context to each chunk for contextual RAG. Then it would embed them and upload them into a vector database. Now this one up here is the RAG AI agent. I had 3 triggers. The first one is the built-in N8N chat where you could just ask it in this window. The second one is connected to OpenWebUI. I mentioned before, it needed to be something that could be local. Also, OpenWebUI is very ChatGPT-like, and I figured since everyone knew ChatGPT, this would be palpable for the people who could be seeing a solution like this for the first time. The last one, I was experimenting with 11 Labs to have a conversational agent, but I deactivate that because I didn't get very far. So after the user inquiry, it would route it to this check. This is where it would check for any PII, personally identifiable information, or any other guidelines or restrictions that I put in specific to the agency here. And then if it does catch something, it would route it over to an incident response workflow. This incident response workflow would just log it and send a message out to the program manager, the team lead, and we had certain processes and procedures to inform the agency as well. But we had to show them that this was built-in compliance. If it passed the check, then it would route to the AI agent, where the agent would use a tool based on whatever it needed to respond to the inquiry. We'd just do a RAG search where it would pull the most significant chunks for the query and then re-rank them to help respond to that query. I added this think tool because I noticed that when the AI agent had a sort of clipboard go over what its response was, it would be more accurate. Also, I want to add that for the demo, I had used the local Olama model just to show that it was a local model. And down here, we had the reporting and logging. So I had it, actually it should be weekly. I had it send a weekly report off of data in the database to show this capability as well. So now let's go to the front end that I showed in the demo, OpenWeb UI. And you might see a bunch of redacted things on the screen right now because I do have to redact some things. Let's use an example question. This wasn't really asked often, but I just wanted to show the capability. What are the requirements for passwords? So you can see that it spit out the response based off the data it had, and it even cited the sources. And you might think this is very simple, but that's because it is. RAG is one of the most commonly used cases for an AI agent. So what did the agency get out of this? This one agent cut the workload of the team by 80% because now we only needed one final reviewer. What took someone 2 to 4 hours to research and process, the AI agent can do in less than 5 minutes. Not only that, but the speed and the accuracy of this agent far surpass our human reviewers. It would also catch relevant subtopics of the inquiry that we normally may not have seen a connection to. And this was a big win for the agency because of their big initiatives was they wanted to be more helpful and give more detailed responses. It also turned out that this AI agent had uses outside of just the review team. It would be used agency-wide because all divisions and departments had to adhere and research the same governing docs in any process that they did. Most importantly, it proved that a small practical AI project can have massive returns. Our internal engineering team eventually ported it and wrapped it in a proprietary tool, and it ultimately saved them from a losing contract. A lot of it is because it did align with DOJ's initiatives to make government more efficient. Now, what were the key takeaways when I was building this AI agent? It was simple. Regular RAG wasn't enough. There are different techniques that I am still to this day experimenting with because techniques are being introduced every day. AI is growing rapidly. But for this one, I had to use contextual hybrid RAG because it wasn't catching all the relevant information because of how large the documents and database were. And the second biggest thing was what I mentioned earlier is that N8N is the perfect tool for POCs and demos because it's easy to follow, it's local, it's open source, great for both technical and non-technical people. It's good enough to use to a certain point. I was actually using this as a side tool even before I presented it. And also it helps AI be more digestible for agencies who aren't fully ready for it yet because you show transparency in every step of the process. So yeah, that for the build. I understand that I wasn't able to show everything, but hopefully you got a gist of what it could do and how it could be used in a real business use case. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out or leave a comment. I'll make sure to respond. See you all in the next video.